I was just curious, to get us started, talking about this Tristan Hollis Memorial Act. I mean, what do you know about it so far? I mean, is it kind of just what I've explained to you, or, I mean, what do you know in total?
Well, I've read the act, and I think the intent of the act is to address officers going from one jurisdiction to the next. However, when you read the law itself, the proposed bill, then that's not actually in there. It is in the intent, but it's not in the actual bill. So I would like to see it added that, you know, one jurisdiction crossing into another jurisdiction either has to do so by a previously agreed upon memorandum of understanding, or that jurisdiction gets, I guess you could say, permission from the jurisdiction they're about to enter, unless it is for one of those laws listed in the bill as it's written.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. So, I mean, with the intent of the law, what kind of effect do you think it might have on police departments across the state? Would it be kind of limiting to y'all's operations?
Oh, yeah, very limiting. Because, if you were to pursue a vehicle for anything other than those crimes that's listed, you're not going to be able to pursue very far. So, I mean, could a pursuit be a quarter of a mile, a mile? I mean, you never really know. And then, two, when you're talking about law enforcement vehicle pursuits, um, what I like to tell people is the officers engage in a pursuit and they can break all the laws in the book. But the one thing that they have to do is do that with due regard to the public safety. So, in doing so, if you were to pursue a vehicle, uh, say at 3 a.m. where there's no traffic on the road, then there's less likely of injury to the public. However, what I like to use is the most, I guess you could say, the worst time to pursue would be either when school's taken up in the morning or school's taken up in the afternoon. I mean, you wouldn't want to run a vehicle pursuit through a school zone. So, officers are trained and should be aware of the limitations that they face in a vehicle pursuit. So they have to think and reevaluate whenever they engage in a pursuit. Does the need of apprehending this subject outweigh the dangers that it's causing to the public? And the simplest thing that you can use is, say, if somebody runs a stop sign. The only thing that that person did was they ran that stop sign. You can't conclude that they've committed any other acts. Now, if you were to, say, respond to an active shooting, a very serious call, which thank God those don't happen that often, but you were to respond to an active shooting and you see the shooter, what you think is the shooter, come out and they run a stop sign, that's a totally different running of a stop sign. Of course, you're going to pull them over for reasonable suspicion that they're the person involved in the shooting or whatever tragedy might have occurred. But you're going to have to take those two scenarios and hold them at different weights. So, I mean, vehicle pursuits are very dangerous. Um, the whole thing is you need to stop the pursuit really before it gets going good. We use what's called tire deflation devices, and what we try to do is get in front of a pursuit. Uh, they're also called spike strips, stop sticks. Anyway, we deploy those, deflate the tires, drastically reduces the speed of the vehicle, and then our officers are presenting much less danger to the public. But again, we try to weigh the options of, is this worth the potential injury to the public? There's, you take the vehicle that entered into Coleman County and went into Coleman City, for example. I mean, that guy come through Hartselle at probably 100 miles an hour, and one of our officers engaged with him to try to stop him, and he kept going, and our officer said, that's a little too dangerous. The only thing he had him for was speed. Other officers tried to intervene, at other jurisdictions, and ultimately he went down into Coleman and killed somebody. So it's hard to say what may or may not happen either way. You know, if you terminate the pursuit or if you engage with the subject, and that gentleman, for example, I mean, I don't think he was going to slow down regardless. The only way to slow him down would to be disable his vehicle. But you know, every situation is different, and it's got to be evaluated just based off of the facts that the officer knows at the time of the attempted stop.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Now, I mean, like you had just said, you're weighing the public safety aspect versus the apprehending of the suspect. Do you think this law has credence at all? I mean, do you think it's necessary that there's some limitations to that, or do you think officers are maybe well trained enough to kind of handle these situations on their own?
Well, I think a reasonable and prudent officer should be trained and well versed enough to handle them on their own. You know, I've been in vehicle pursuits, and actually, I guess you could say the last vehicle pursuit I was in, the subjects got on the interstate, and they were going 70 miles an hour, which is the speed limit on the interstate, but they wasn't stopping. So, you know, is it causing any more danger to the public to continue to attempt to stop that vehicle? That particular vehicle was registered stolen. And then ultimately, what I didn't know was that the passenger of the vehicle had been abducted by the driver of the vehicle. I think it was in Massachusetts. But, you know, had they have fled at a high rate of speed, not knowing that information, I don't hardly think that I'd have continued to pursue for just the charges that we had.
Yes, sir. Um, I guess in terms of, I mean, what happened in Hartselle just a few months back. I mean, that Priceville chase that ended in Hartselle, killed 17-year-old Tristan Hollis. I think it was a suspected DUI at the time. I mean, how has that kind of impacted the Hartselle community? And do you think maybe something like this would prevent things like that from happening in the future at all?
Well, you can't really say what it will or won't prevent from happening. Um, I mean, I kind of think that the bill's probably going to get tweaked a little bit. Um, but yeah, I guess if it goes the way it is, then an officer can't pursue anybody for anything but I mean, essentially Class A felonies.
Yes, sir. Um, and I didn't mean to, ask about the future. I don't want to put words in your mouth or anything. Say like,
Right.
you know, you predicting the future. I don't want you to do that. Um,
Yeah.
but in terms of, I mean, I don't know because, like, yeah, it would prevent you guys from chasing people or pursuing people unless there was I guess, a Class A felony underway. Now, how is that going to impact? I mean, if it's passed the way that it is, the way that it's written now, I can't really imagine what tweaks might be made. I can't predict the future on that either. So, assuming that it goes the way it's written right now, I mean, how might that impact y'all's operations? What would necessarily change about the way y'all pursue suspects? I mean, if there's, say, a suspected DUI or something like that that does pose a risk to the public safety, um, would your officers be able to do their jobs?
No, I mean, I don't have that act in front of me, but I read it. And I don't think reasonable suspicion of a DUI is on that list. So yeah, you wouldn't be able to pursue for anything. And you know, when you're talking about a pursuit, you know, what is the actual definition of a pursuit? Like I said, if an officer gets behind a vehicle and they try to stop the vehicle, and the vehicle doesn't stop within a quarter of a mile or a half a mile, or where do we reach an actual pursuit? At a mile, mile and a half, two, you know? So uh, I think it's very restrictive the way it's worded, and I would like to see it changed a little bit to give officers a little bit more leeway. And then, like I said before, you know, just limit one officer from being able to enter another jurisdiction without a prior memorandum of understanding or gaining permission from that agency to enter. Because, you know, what happens is when one agency is pursuing somebody into another agency, that agency's policies may be a little bit different, and they may not assist. So us, for example, we wouldn't want to be chasing anybody right in the middle of Decatur without assistance. Headed up 31 and crossing 67, which is the busiest intersection in the county, I'd imagine. So, I think our officers would only pursue into a situation like that for very dire circumstances to begin with. We have a policy on vehicle pursuits that says, that the officers need to consider what I told you earlier, which is apprehending the subject going to be safer for the public than continuing to pursue the public. So, for example, if you suspect somebody's DUI and they're truly running people off the road, then you may weigh that as being, this guy's going to kill somebody if we don't stop him. So then, it's every situation is different.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, every situation is different. I mean, two DUIs look completely different, I'd imagine. You've got
Oh yeah,
one that killed Tristan Hollis over 100 miles an hour crossing jurisdictions, and then there's some where people are going below the speed limit, 20 miles an hour, trying to, just keep on going, not necessarily stopping. Like, I totally get that.
yeah, exactly.
Now, I mean, not being able to pursue DUIs, not being able to pursue, say, I don't even know. There's a whole litany of things that would endanger public safety, if it weren't stopped at the moment that that individual is driving the car. I mean, how might this impact public safety at all? I mean, if you guys aren't able to do your job the way you need to, say somebody crosses jurisdictions, say somebody is, endangering public safety, but it doesn't meet that narrow set of Class A felonies. I mean, I imagine that's pretty restrictive to y'all.
Oh yeah, I mean, we would just have to change our policies and not pursue. And then what happens happens. I mean, that we just have to follow the guidelines of the law.